In a way, this is like shifting gears. So we'll now invite Ms. Proulx-Turner to read to us a poem and see if you remember it, folks. They never knew the title of it, but they all wrote about it.
I just wanted to say before I read this though that after hearing everybody, your ideas about what you're going to do, and I know that some of you might change because you were saying it's just kind of starting this program. Yeah, it's going for 6 months, but you're going to really get to know each other, hey, here. So it just kind of just something that's not really connected, but it reminds me of it for some reason. Was that I've done a lot of anti-racism work, and sometimes it would be just almost all white people, but sometimes there would be a lot of Native people and brown people. So then when I would ask them to do things, usually I'll always give a choice to the Native people who want to be alone together to do exercises, right? And or with the other brown people in the group. So they usually end up all in one group, and then the other group is all non-Native people, they're all white people. And when I ask them to just say to do something, to get an exercise to answer a question or whatever, maybe it's kind of like some of the stuff that you've been doing. And every single time, the Native people and the people of color in one group always work as a group. They'll come up with something usually visual for the group to see, and everybody did it together. Whereas in the non-Native white people, they each do their own. So if there's 15 of them, there'll be 15 different things. And then over here there's one. So it just made me think, this is a group, you're all here for a reason. You came here together for a reason, and you're a group, you're all here. So when you're all done, if you end up supporting each other in your success, somehow, some way you stay in touch. It sounds like from some of these things, it sounds like you got them all here, you've got different things happening, and just help each other out to succeed. That was what I was thinking.
I'd like to point out too, before she reads this one, it is very unusual. When I've been doing these dialogic sessions for 21 years, normally people will never identify themselves as the person who wrote something. This is the first time I've been in a group where each time I read, somebody says, I wrote that. It's really quite remarkable.
Okay, you guys didn't get the title of this? No, it's not too exciting. It's called Out of the Corner of My Eye. Sometimes you think you see something that's right there out of the corner of your eye, and you look, it's gone. Something like that. Out of the corner of my eye. You could tell a lot about a person by how they treat their eagle feathers. When they're helping others, said a gifted Algonquin warrior woman. Some treat their eagle feathers rough, hit hard with them, shake them feathers till they're tattered and ruined. That door shut tight against the helpers on the other side. Others feed their feathers, smudge them, care for them, hang them on a wall, treat them real gentle when they help others. Eagle feathers are gifts, hey, direct from the other side. They're here to teach us how to treat our children. Eagle feathers are. Treat our children real gentle. Don't shake them, hit them, hurt them in any way. Our children are our greatest teachers in this life, direct from the other side. It's the children we're here to always keep in our thoughts. Their safety, their survival. The children choose us as parents, aunties, uncles, cousins, grandparents, friends, not the other way around. This is not a lecture, not a modern day speech, but a story who knows us, remembers who we are. A story who knows how to protect, how to heal. The stories are alive. Choose us, not the other way around. The stories are our ancestors. Join with us in our time. Love us, care for us. Speak through us, hey, though we may not know this at the time.
Well, this was, for me, who had the privilege of reading all of them, this was quite interesting. The journey of the Change It Up members. Here's an example, Ms. Proulx-Turner. And again, it's the same method. Read it one time, one word, read 2 times, write a sentence, read it 3 times, write a paragraph, read it 4 times, write stream of consciousness. Well, here's the stream of consciousness of one of the Change It Up seminar members. I think this story is great for teaching others about the feathers. And that is how you treat your children. If you treat your feathers rough, then you will treat your children rough. If you take good care of your feathers, you will take good care of your children. And that children and grandchildren are gifts. And I think it should be taught to everyone. For the white people, it could not be about the feather, but something like how to treat your Ferrari, or even your horse. This would be great for many teachings on the this, what you had written, would be great for many teachings on the reserve and off the reserve. I believe a lot in the feather, and its meaning should be taught in an everyday environment from morning to night before you go to bed. I believe the feather means that you're connected to the Great Spirit. With that feather, you own. And with that, you're connected with the Great Spirit with all the children you have. They wrote a tweet about this. Tweet. Read this to your children. I recommend this to everyone, and to teach this every day. Maybe to even print it out and add feathers to it, then frame it and hang it on your wall so that you can see it every day. Now there's an entrepreneurial idea, folks, and I hope one of you is going to pick up on it. And others to read it when they come to visit you. And they will see it every time they see you. They titled your work, Feather Children. The meaning? The feathers are the children. You treat them the way you treat your children. My definition of, and each time I ask them to define a word in a text, I ask them for their own definition. How do you define heal? H-E-A-L. This is what they wrote. Heal, it means healing ourselves, healing others, and teaching others how to heal. How would you respond to that, Ms. Proulx-Turner?
I guess I have to come up with a new word. Amazing. It's really amazing. I mean, the story is not mine, but it comes from, like I said, an Algonquin woman. And she told me the story when she was at my house and she seen that I had some feathers in private place, but she seen them there. And then she said, I have to tell you this story. And what it was this guy came to the door of their house, her and her husband, and they lived on the res in Ontario, and she didn't know him, but she thought her husband knew him. And she said he was a really tall, skinny guy, and he was just driving this old reckless little car. He was dressed in a three-piece suit. She said, geez, that really surprised her. And then he came in and he sat at the table, and she went and got her husband. She said he was napping. She's like, look up, there's some guy over there. He's your cousin. And he comes out into the kitchen, and he goes, but that guy stayed there for like 5 or 6 hours, and all he did was talk. He ate an orange, and he talked. And he said that they realized that he wasn't even from this world. And that's one of the things that he said, is this about the feathers. And she said that she never really told anybody about this guy and all the stuff he said. She said he said tons of stuff. And but she just felt weird about it, you know. And so then about maybe, I don't know, 10 years later, she was at a shaking tent ceremony. There was this old man outside, and he says to her, hey, you, come over here. So she goes over and she says she's kind of nervous, and he says to her, how come you never told nobody that story? She's like, what story? He goes, about eagle feathers. You were told to tell that story. So you tell that story, he told her. And he said, when you tell that story, you tell that person that you tell it to tell that story. So it can be going around like this. So that's how that story came to me. And, so it feels like whoever wrote this heard the story the way that man, that ancestor intended for it to be heard. And that's what meant to be.
The only wrong question is the unasked question.
That was the best story that I understood. I do believe in feather.
You know, just this weekend, there was this man who, there's a chief who's trying to clean up the beds that he's done at Lucky. And he just so happened to be going through really hard times right now. This man has been voted in, and he's trying to clean things up, making everybody work from 9 to 5, you know, trying to stop the embezzlement that's going on down there, and all kinds of other good stuff that he's trying to do. But then the council is not happy because he's having so great down there. So they're trying to push him out. So he has to go to court this week for the conspiracy. Anyways, he went to see this medicine man. And the medicine man heard his story, and he felt so bad for him that he gave him an eagle feather that he had had since many years ago. This man went to Sundance, and he was crying when he gave it to him, because he said, you know, my dad always told me, when you give something that it's very hard to give, and it's very meaningful. So he told this man to help us out. And then the next day, which was yesterday, was in the sweat lodge, and the next thing you know, this woman had left. She came back after like maybe 4 hours. She was on the road, and she went to the side of the road to look, and she seen something, and she went over there, and there it was, an eagle that had been killed. So she went and got it, and she didn't know what to do with it. So they drove all the way back, and they got it, and they gave it to him. So he said, you know, yesterday I was so hurt, and so, you know, because of that, he said my dad gave me a feather, which his dad gave to him, and I gave to that man. And he said, when you're here today, I'm rewarded tenfold because I received. So he said, it's really true.
And giving feather to all the changing up people that are over.
You've given an eagle feather to everybody in the program?
Well, one feather.
That's neat. That's awesome. Way to go. Are these golden eagles? Or bald eagle? Bald eagle, okay.
I'd like to add to that, when you said feathers, you translated it's miquan. Miquan. That's 3 syllables, or 2 syllables, miquan. I used to have an old fellow over here, he's long gone, but he rest in peace, but that was his Indian name, miquan, huh? His Mali name, I kept saying feather. So I try to translate whatever I can with him, when I think about these things.
She's younger, but I know she knows the whole story. She talked about it.
Excellent.
Brother-in-law and my sister, their Indian names are Niguan and Neonspro. So for Christmas I bought them this eagle. It's like on a piece of wood and it's carved out. So they didn't expect that because they probably don't know that I know their Indian name. But like I got my Indian name because I used to live with them, and that's how I became really familiar with the culture, was because I moved in with them and I was raised over there. So now I have an Indian name, my son has an Indian name, but my 2 daughters did it. And when my son got his Indian name, he was only a month old, and he went into it. So he was just a tiny, tiny, still can't find out his name.
Well, here's another person on that same piece of writing. In a stream of consciousness vein, they wrote, actions speak louder than words. How you treat everything around you is a reflection on yourself. Woman warrior is knowledge. Mother, daughter, aunt, Nokam, there is much to be learned from a woman's perspective. Mother Earth, think in terms of being heard, how she cares for us all. Protection, guidance, love, care, kindness, discipline, unconditional love. We are all capable of these things. Now, I have to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I read that again, and think of that, what that person, it's up to you to reveal who you are, but that is a powerful statement. We are all capable of these things. How many people follow her ways? The eagle feathers are her children, in a sense. Take care in everything you do. How you treat people, how you treat Mother Earth and our precious children. And she will take care of you. Their tweet about what you wrote, I get an easy, peaceful feeling as I read this. The feeling is quite gentle and loving. I wish to live in a world where this advice is taken to heart. They titled this, Warrior Woman. It's like Mother Earth is giving precious, sound advice, and is also outlining harsh consequences if the words are disregarded, just like a mother does. And their definition of heal, H-E-A-L, mint green, smudge, self-acceptance, self-love, self-respect, then extend that to my brother, my sister, with caring and kindness. because we all have the same pain to heal. How would you respond to that, Ms. Proulx-Turner?
One word, profound. It's a lot to take in.
Did you folks know that you could write like this?
Gee, and here you came here to learn how to be business people.
Find all these orders.
Yeah. You can start up your own journal. Yeah, come up with a title, Lord knows. No titles here, but gee, wouldn't that be something if you came up with your own journal, like distributed all over? Reserve it, wouldn't you?
Especially if they don't know what you're saying. Well, not saying it, but not, like, what you just said, like legal, let's say if you introduced your own business in Cree, like a Cree title, because a lot of Crees, but it'll be only a unique sign, like this is my business, so it's, Mia, Kia, Mia. Me and them.
I've just come, since I last saw you, I've been at Augustana University College in Camrose. And on Friday morning, I was part of a panel about teaching and the key to teaching. In other words, the key to success as an educator. And what came out of that was the most important factor is storytelling. You've got to become a storyteller. And I believe that relates exactly to what you're doing in business and enterprise. Become storytellers. And you'll make what you do an exciting venture. And more than money. But something that communicates values well beyond dollars and cents. The only wrong question is the unasked question. Would you like to ask Ms. Proulx-Turner a question about, because everybody wrote about the feathers. I mean, everybody. This was one piece of writing that we're not going to have time to read everything. It's just not possible. But I could read because something happened in the Change It Up group with this piece of writing. It resonated with everybody in a unique way. So I invite you to ask her a question for the time that we have with her now.
You all received a feather already?
Oh, is it?
Just one? Oh, a feather for the program.
It's not a question, but my mom's from the northwest coast of BC. So when we go up there, it's nice to go during the salmon run because there's a village that's right on the river that leads into the ocean. And during the salmon run, my mom's auntie counted over 400 eagles on the beach. Gold eagles, bald eagles. So we go there and we pick up the feathers. And my dad started doing a sweat lodge up there, and my uncle started doing it, carrying it on. And my one uncle told my dad he found an eagle on the side of the road, so he buried it. And told my dad, and my dad went to go find it, dig it up, take it home, maggots and all. And just been hearing stories like one lady found a dead eagle on the road. She threw it in the dump. Like, they don't know how important it is to us about the eagles and eagle feathers. So now they save the feathers they find. So every time we go there, there's a big jar stacked full of eagle feathers.
Around here, when they do find, like, say somebody did hit an eagle with their vehicle or something, or if they find one injured on the side of the road, Fish and Game take it. But us First Nations have first rights to that. Like, we can go say, well, we'd like to have this for our ceremony. And they just give it. And I believe there is like a list that you get put on.
Yeah.
Well, here's, oh, Paulo.
Oh, I was just gonna
Go
say,
ahead.
like in the States, like we can get on a list?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that.
To
I
fish
thought
and
we had a
wildlife.
list, is that?
yeah.
Well, around here, because that one year I got asked to bead some eagle feathers for a group that were graduating from a course, and so I did. I beaded all those eagle feathers, and then I asked the guy that approached me and wanted me to bead those eagle feathers. I asked him where he got them, and that's how I knew that he said he got them from Fish and Game.
Yeah.
And there's he was on a waiting list, so he had to just right when that program started, he looked into it, and it took that long just for him to get those eagle feathers because he was on a list.
Well, here's another person, the same piece of writing, but a change it up member. Oh, Paulo, do we have a question? The one word, one sentence. Well, the one word they had was grateful. The one sentence, a thought I have never considered. My babies are my eagle feathers. One paragraph, an adaptation that even an elder has told me. That not even an elder has told me. This is beautiful writing and very true. Our children, grandchildren, are our eagle feathers. And they don't pick us parents. In my case, a single parent. Our children are our greatest teachers in life. It's so true. Stream of consciousness. Well, I'll just, because there's so much, I'm not going to be able to read everything. I'll move to the next one. Tweet. I think this was a great piece because of the hope. It makes people conscious of all the gifts they are and all the gifts the Creator gave them in every form of life. My definition of heal would be to make something whole again, to restore it to its original state, to make it better, or to make something better than it is. And then I'm going to do one more, and I'll invite you to comment and open it up again. One word, eagle. One sentence. The eagle feather has great significance in how we parent our children. One paragraph. The eagle feather tells us a story on how we should be treating our children as parents. We should love them, honor them, cherish them. We need to treat them with respect, show them off with pride, and remember, they are gifts. They choose us, and we need to remember that. We must also teach this to our children, so they will know when it is their time to be parents. Stream of consciousness. I really like this poem because of the great significance it uses. The eagle is very majestic, a strong, beautiful bird. Feathers, it has feathers of many shapes and sizes. These make the eagle who it is. They protect this amazing bird. Our children are a very good analogy of the feather. We must always take care of our children. Throughout our lives, we must protect them from harms that come their way. We must teach them right from wrong. It is common sense how we as parents should be raising our children in a good light. They follow by example. We must be good leaders so that they too will be strong like the eagle. Our children are not all the same, but we must treat them all the same, equally. It is true that it's not by a lecture when you are told to do something. It is teaching. There is a lesson as to why you are being told. So many times people get offended. But if we all listen, I'm sure life would be so much more simple. Our stories are told us using many of our animals, such as the bear, the wolf, the buffalo. I'm glad that the poet chose the eagle to use as the foundation of her story, to remind us that children are always important. Tweet, I loved this piece of writing. It is a great reminder on parenting. Sometimes we tend to forget that we can't mistreat our children, nor neglect them. Share this story, is what I'm told. Interesting. Share this story is what I'm told. And they had no idea that that's what the whole story is about. The title, My Precious Little Eagle Feathers. The reason I chose this title is because the poem is using the feathers as an analogy for our children, who are precious. My definition of heal, it means to overcome the trauma that you have experienced in your life. Letting go of hurts, pains, the negative, injuries, and remembering how to live in a healthy way. That's a lot to comment on, but we'll invite you to do so, Ms. Proulx-Turner.
To me, it's a beautiful teaching that comes from a beautiful teaching. It's really perceptive and profound.
You're saying what that member wrote is a beautiful teaching that comes from the beautiful teaching of that piece of writing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow, I'm so lucky.
Well, we invite you to comment on that. And it's always up to you if you want to say if you wrote it. So, comments, questions. The only wrong question is the unasked question, because our time is quickly moving on now, folks. Please. Ms. Roan?
What? Yes?
Yeah, have any of you ever seen a film called Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Yeah.
Now, that film epitomizes the nightmare of a teacher. And for me, I love watching that film. Because in the classroom, all of a sudden, you know, the teacher's trying to get some energy going among the students. And do you remember what happens? Ask if there's a question. Anyone? Anyone? Do you remember that part? That's the teacher's worst nightmare. Anyone? Anyone? Do you folks have a question? Please. Make the most of the moment.
I don't really have a question, but I really think that should be, like, put on a plaque and framed for everybody to relate to.
That's an excellent idea. And of course, it came from one of your fellow seminar members.
And I want to know who.
I think they identified themselves.
It's me.
I
Knew it.
How did you know it, Ms. Twins?
Well, because the young single mother is here.
And I'm a single mom too, so.
Well, I'm not a single mom anymore, but you know, I've experienced being a single
Yeah.
mom.
wasn't
But I also
allowed
know the
to-
importance of teaching our kids right from wrong, right? And
Yeah.
how society is the way it is because
a lot of parents forgot that or weren't taught that. So,
Yeah.
and it really, your poem on that really, when I read it, it just warmed my heart. It just made me proud, you know. So yeah, I love it.
Well, since we're in the context of entrepreneurship, who agrees with the idea of Ms. Lee that with the permission of the author, and of course it would take permission because it's a matter of intellectual property, that actually be framed and everybody have a copy and frame it and have it in their home? That teaching on the teaching of the feathers. That would be in the entrepreneurial spirit to do that.
I would agree with that.
I would agree.
But I'd rather that it's not my story, right? And it isn't her story. She's told it now many times. And like parts of it is me because I wrote that other part in there. But that isn't even me, because everything that we are comes from the past. So I would, yeah.
I want to throw that out to as a challenge to change it up. That you take these writings that we've just had and frame it, and as a, oh, that's neat. Did he just do that? Yeah,
He's
has
off
a
to a dental.
appointment.
You want to shake my hand?
He's going to get a molar pulled out.
Or not?
That's my brother.
Is it? Tell him to shake his hand.
Think of that, folks. Think of following up on that idea. It'd be part of the entrepreneurial spirit to do that.
Have you received any cultural backlash from telling stories that we cover anything to do with the cultural aspects of it?
No. No, I haven't. But I did write a book, it's called, just when I think about that, it's called, She Walks for Days, Inside 1,000 Eyes, a Two Spirits story. It's a whole book, like it's a long story. And they call it poetry, so it's not selling. But I got a little bit from that, but only from one place. Because it has stories, and I got permission to tell them, but it's still, it really bothers people sometimes when they see a story with their people that is from a non-member of that nation. So even though I got permission to tell them, I'm only getting it from the elders, but it doesn't mean it's not going to offend somebody. So,
My dad always says, look at the message, not the messenger. And I think that's really important for everybody to consider. Everybody has something to offer.
and I mean, some of our stories are protected, and there are stories that aren't, but other ones are meant to be.
Well, here's the same story, but a different member of the seminar. One word, respect. I like that. Reminds me of Aretha Franklin. One sentence. We were chosen. One paragraph. How a person treats their eagle feathers is how they treat their children. Our children chose us, not the other way round. It is the same with the stories. They choose us. And it is how we are going to treat those stories. How can we learn from our children and from our stories? It is true, how you treat your children is how they will treat others. They are a miniature version of ourselves. How we speak to them is how they will speak to others. There is no such thing as bad kids, just bad parents. Some of our kids are disrespectful because of their parents. Their parents are like that to them because that is how they were treated as children themselves. They were treated like this in the residential schools. How do we break the cycle? How do we begin the healing? Our children are our greatest teachers because the child speaks the truth. They are the honest beings in our world, and our children are our future. If we raise them with respect, then they will respect others. As a mother, I will do anything to protect my child from harm. But at the same time, they need to learn to walk on their own. We teach them the basic skills and knowledge on how to get through life, and we hope that they can make the most of it. It is the same with the stories. It's our responsibility to care for our stories, how they are being told, how they are treated. How you treat your eagle feathers is how you treat your children and your stories. Our children are us, and they are our teachers. Title, My Eagle Feathers. I chose this because the first part of the story is about how you treat your eagle feathers is how you treat your children. So, my eagle feathers is my children. My definition of heal, the ability to let old wounds recover and to let the pain go. How would you respond to that, Ms. Proulx-Turner?
Well, the first thing that comes to me is that I wish that when I was young, like when I was a young mother, I wish that I could have read something. I think it would have really helped me to, I guess maybe ground me. I guess it's kind of grounding. It's very, it says so much in such a short paragraph. That'd be a good thing to put on your fridge. Yeah, it's very, very. The way that they weave the stories and the children and the feathers together is the, it's called feather. So it's beautiful.
Well, whoever wrote it, we invite them if they want to say who they are and want to pursue the dialogue. Would you like to elaborate a little more, Ms. Cryer, on it?
Sorry. It makes me emotional. Because it's true. I had a hard time with my first son. I didn't treat him good. But I am learning now, so I need to set him a good path for him. So, something like that.
Well, thank you for sharing that. There's one thing about this week that we've had together. It's what I call reality-based education. No one's helped by pretending we don't have any problems. The real challenge in life is to face those problems, to name them, to call them what they are, and to deal with them. And part of the dealing with them is to get it out there through the words. And that's what you've done. I have to say it's remarkable. I've done this for 21 years. Never have I had a group where each person said, I wrote that. Never, never, never. So we're breaking new ground here. And remember what we said at the very beginning? All we're looking for is honesty. It really is the best policy. Questions, comments, observations as our time is quickly going by. We invite you.
Okay, I would just like to say thank you so much for sharing that. Very personal. And I think it tells a lot of our stories, you know. And like even my mom too, you know, she was raised in such violence in foster care. And then we knew her mom, and they were just pulled out of the home when they were young, because they were, they were just the little brown kids who were living in the city and just putting in white foster homes on farms where they got treated really bad. And then we knew our grandmother, she suffered all those years because she didn't have kids. She found out where they were, she could already see them. They never knew. So, but we knew her better than our mom did. And to learn from our moms and dads. I mean, your generation, thank you. There's so many of you. Thank you for being here, especially the younger ones, who you're going to be, you are our future leaders. You're all our future leaders. I'm not really that old yet, but the little ones think I'm really old. But then they think teenagers are old. But to recognize, like if there's one thing that we can do as people, is we are capable of change.
Change it up.
Yeah. The program is called Hey. So, and we have that ability.
To break the cycle and to break new ground.
400 Eagle Women.
Well, it's the same piece of writing, but get a load of this, Miss Proulx-Turner. One word, interesting. One sentence. I really like this poem. It is my most favorite one because it is another teaching, and I love to learn. One paragraph. Incidentally, as an educator, I love to hear that expression. I love to learn. One paragraph. This story reminds me of my own family, whom I don't speak with. They taught me things without even speaking to me. I learned not to hate, to accept people the way they are, and not hold grudges because people make mistakes. I learned that your past will always stay in the past, and you should learn from it, and that not everything is your fault. Things happen for a reason. I've learned some of the most important lessons from my family because they do the exact opposite. They talk about you behind your back for no apparent reason. So this poem makes me realize that I must forgive my family as well as accept them, and that they're in my life for a reason. But they should smarten up for their kids. Stream of consciousness. This poem makes me feel calm and understanding of the world around me. I am not a parent, though I know I will be one day. I had a dream that I had a son the Creator gave me one night. Although I somewhat know what it feels like to have children and to care for them, love them, and sometimes discipline them, I pretty much raised my two brothers and taught them how to love, to give them the attention they needed. Now I cannot live without my brother, because they shaped me as a person, not to be angry quickly, and to have patience. That having a sister or a brother is a relationship until death, until the next life. I miss my brothers every day. I miss them so much, it makes me want to cry. I have an eagle feather given to me by one since no one else is stepping up. Oh, excuse me. I have an eagle feather given to me as an award I once received. It was for being a young leader in this Hobina community. And I do want to be one, since no one else is stepping up. For a long time, I left my eagle feather in the wooden box I received it, so as to keep it protected. But I finally hung it up. It seems to flutter sometimes from being blown or something, but there is no air or draft, which mystifies me. Just like this poem. The tweet, children are gifts from the Creator. Tweet, love your life. Title, the Creator's gifts. I chose to name it this way because the poem is pretty much about children, and eagle feathers come from eagles who are said to be our ancestors manifested. My definition of heal, to become balanced, happy, and joyous again. To be able to be balanced in the medicine wheel. To be from sickness to health, sadness to happiness, pain to relief, and to move from grief to understanding.
Wow. You know, listening to that, it really got me, you know how sometimes it's hard to listen to something because your own thoughts are getting in the way? And I have to keep coming back to listening because it was making me think about my sister and my sisters and something that's happened in my own life. And something that can do that. You know, there's such a difference between something that's written and you read it, and then you hear it, you know. And because I don't know, like, just hearing that. You know, a lot of times when I'm here today, I can't even tell you how many times I've had goosebumps. Just listening to the words. And, oh, hi. This is my ride.
Please come join the circle.
She likes to ride my little red pony. My name is Sandy Smokey.
Thank you for coming.
Day today.
Yeah.
And you're?
Corn nuts.
Oh, I like that name even better.
But anyways, I just really learned a lot from hearing that, what I just heard. And I was I just told him that just what I just heard, what you didn't hear. But it made me think of my sister. That I was telling you that story on the way here. And I have the opportunity to see a sister this weekend that I haven't seen for 24 years.
Wow. It's big.
And I'm told I look just like her. And she's older than me. But in 1989, when I wrote that book that I told you about, called Where the Rivers Join, I didn't, my family didn't hate it or anything, but writing it gave me the courage to go and speak to my dad about my childhood. But when that happened, he banished me from the family, and then everybody, my sisters and brothers, all banished me also, and my kids. So we haven't been a part of my family, which is a big family and a close family, which we were. So you know that that's a big secret in the family plan. And but it was so many years of so much grief and to just meet my sister that way, I'm going to Vancouver. My niece is in Victoria, like the kids, nieces and nephews have contacted me, but not the parents. So to go, all I can think of is I'm gonna go to my nieces, I'm not gonna have a car, I'm gonna be on Vancouver Island, you know, blah, blah, blah. And do I wanna go see my sister for the first time in 24 years and not be able to drive away and be like, and then I think as I listened to that though, I learned something. And what I learned is, like even growing up, my grandmother used to tell us, like I think I even said this to you today, to not do all the stuff that I don't know if I did or not, but your brothers, the way that I was raised is that if you have children, their dad is actually your brothers, not the dad. Because you can always get a new husband, but you can never get a new brother. So the brother is always the dad, the grandpa of the children, your children. And just the importance of family, or right, wrong, or whatever, you know. So now I'm thinking if I have the opportunity to see my sister, then I should darn well do it. Gee!
And that's a result of having just heard that piece of writing
Yes.
by one of the seminar members here.
Yes. So whoever you are, thank you. Aww. See you, healer you.
That was actually really tough to write. Really tough to write. So, I had to, in order to heal, so that when we went through something, I had to be in a good place in my life. You know, you can't get better if your things still bug you. So, for my own good, to survive, I had to be away from my family. It's tough to do that. But when you go back to them, you know who are the ones who will always be there for you. Those are the ones that love you back as much as you love them.
We talked last week, remember, about getting chronological distance and psychological distance. And that can do us a lot of good. So I can understand what you're saying there, Ms. Rattlesnake. Now, folks, we have one last unit, but I think we need to get a little fresh air. So this time we'll take a 5-minute break. Please keep it to 5.
It's 10. That was 10. I don't know how long you took that.
Yeah, take 5, as Dave Brubeck would say.
Why not? Because I Lila, have you done presentations? No. I actually did it by my right home.
My friend was walking in front of me and I said, gee, you know, your hair looks so nice. She goes, she turns around, she looks at me with bangs.
Well, ladies, we'll invite you to take your seats because now we're going to wrap it up. It would be remiss of me not to deal with what also lies under much of what we experienced and what you wrote, and what in fact goes back to your parents, your grandparents, the elders, the ancestors. And it was a defining moment in our Change It Up week when we read this piece of writing, which you don't know the title, but you certainly responded to it. And so I will invite
This poem is called A World of Red. A gifted Cree warrior woman once told me when she was a child, her eyes were bleeding onto the pages of an atlas at school, rearranging rivers, pushing lakes through to the pages below, the pages before that, looking back. The yellow of the world turning red on teachers' precious book. Columbus's New World, the blood of the Taino people, 8 million to 28,000 in 20 years. The bones of millions of native slaves, warriors, children, babes, of millions, hundreds of millions. Their red drops on the maps of the white man soak through to a future where resistance moves beyond the road, beyond the talk, beyond the mountain.
Well, I will never forget that moment when you read this, wrote about it, and then we gathered in this circle. You know, they talk about the expression, you can feel the energy. I have seldom experienced what can happen to a group when they read such words. I mean, folks, if I had had something to weigh the spirit was so heavy. After, when we gathered in that circle, honestly, it was like, it was tons and tons and tons and tons of weight on us. I'd like to share with you, Ms. Proulx-Turner, and it'll have to be brief because we do need to respect the time, but here's what one of them wrote. Stream of consciousness. This reading kind of pisses me off. Our people, for hundreds of years, suffered atrocities at the hands of the white man. All I can say is what goes around comes around. Except now, in today's society, we will fight back with education. That's our bow and arrow. They took our land, our culture, our language almost, but you can't take away an education. The reading is complex in many ways. It indicates a book to me. In fact, it sounds like the Bible. An indication of death by millions, and also blood. So therefore, this has a very in-depth historical background. The Cree warrior woman sounds like my grandmother, Sophie Nakawasis, and her mother before. To know the things they saw and experienced must have been horrific. There is also an indication of residential schooling in the reading. So this again takes me to a place where my mother was when she was a child. They attempted the assimilation of our people. They entitled their tweet, "This writing is compelling on many levels. It is based on actual facts and events, and those facts remain. First Nations people are exactly that. First Nations, Aboriginal, call it what you will. It only strengthens my people. We have and always will rise and succeed and always be the people we've been. Strong, proud, free, and in my case, Cree. They titled your work, Voices of the Past, named because no one listened to those voices in the past. We are listening today. And our voices have united. Loud and clear, hear our song. Idle no more. My definition of Cree, because I asked them all to define Cree, powerful. I invite you to respond.
See, I do have one word written there.
What?
You have a word written there, and it's my word for this. Yes! That's really powerful. Yeah! Bring it on.
Well, this is our final time in the circle. We have a couple of things we will get done before we leave. You know, what was that program? I never watched it, but there was this man always on TV saying, "Is that your final answer?" What's your final question, folks?
But just before, can the person who wrote this say who he or she is? She's here.
I think that was Dina.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause I remember she's like, and then I put I don't know more.
That's the man.
The one who bamboozled me.
Is she the one that called you Mr. Corn Nuts?
No, the one who called me Mr. Cornuts is here, but I won't say who it is.
On a positive note, where you live in Quebec.
Yeah.
Where corn is sacred. And then you think about corn nuts, it can sustain you. So, not such a bad name, huh? It's kind of Indian.
Well, folks, we're going to do a few things here, and I want to mention them quickly because to keep our time limit. One is, in marketing, in publicity, they say, and it's true, there is no such thing as bad publicity. Because to get any publicity is well worth it. So, we'd like to invite you, actually, where I've been a distinguished visiting scholar at Augustana, we'd like to make it possible for Augustana University College to share what Change It Up has experienced, what you have experienced. And that's why Mr. Raj Jin is here. If you would like that publicity, if you'd like the university and others who are interested in Change It Up, in what you're doing, what you've experienced, would you please make sure to see Mr. Rajin and to sign a form. The university is not allowed to show anything whatsoever, no matter how good it is, unless you consent, unless you give your written permission. So he graciously brought the form. It will never make it into the university unless you give your permission. I'd like to reiterate, there's no such thing as bad publicity. So get yourselves out there. To me, art is about communication. If it doesn't communicate, it isn't art. So get your message out there as entrepreneurs, as business people. There's a final thing I'd like to share with you from mine, because you have shared so personally, and I'll try to keep my composure. Something that influenced me my whole life. And ironically, it's a ripoff of Native people. I was a Boy Scout, and the Boy Scouts have wolf badges, and they have bear badges, and they have lion badges, and what happens if you go through Boy Scouts? You become, guess what? An Eagle Scout. I mean, when I think back on my childhood, we took all the symbols, all the culture, all the meaning of being native. And when I was a Boy Scout, now I have to, mea culpa, I am horrible with my hands. I can do zip with my hands. But you had to do arts and crafts in Boy Scout. And they gave us this one task of beading. So all of you who are into beading, you're going to appreciate this story. I can't bead for beans. And this was part of it, because they were drawing on native culture and native, like the totems, the totem animals. So I had to do some beading. Well, my bead, you know, I was so bad in art. You know, in kindergarten they do finger painting. I was so bad in finger painting, I got kicked out in kindergarten for using somebody else's thumb. So then when they tried to get me to bead, I couldn't bead. And I kept saying to, because when you're a Boy Scout, you have a den mother. I kept saying to the den mother, I can't. I can't. I can't. And I repeated this to that poor den mother again and again and again. She's got all these young guys, all these boys, same age. But this boy kept saying, I can't. I can't. I can't. Now I knew what it means to be mothered by what this lady did. Because at the end of the year in Boy Scouts, there was a ceremony, talking about ceremony and eagle feathers. And we had to do something in art that would explain what we had experienced that year. And I'm going to invite you in just a minute to write on the link what you've experienced this week. And she said, Norm, I want you to do something with I can't. And she went to the shoe store and she got a box for shoes, for boys' shoes. And she says, Norm, we're going to have a burial ceremony. And she had me cut out a strip and write on it in big black letters, and she says, now take this piece of paper and lay it in the box, like the coffin. And there on stage in front of everybody in the school, including my parents and my siblings, we had a burial ceremony in which she encouraged me for the rest of my life to bury I can't. And I did. And I encourage you, bury I can't, because you can do it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'll invite you to write about your experience on the link right now. Change it up, and we'll take a group photo before you leave.
Just a sec, but does anyone have any other comments before we wrap it up?
Well, I just wanted to say, all of us, when we were reading your poems, we all saw different things, but they were kind of the same. And what I wanted to know was, where were you at the time when you wrote some of the stuff that you wrote? I know some of it was boiled, there were stories told to me, but to me, like, I want to know what was going through your middle when you were putting this stuff down, because like some of the writing really affected me. Like there was one about it was cold, it was a winter scene or something. And I was like literally cold. I couldn't get warm. But like I just want to know where were you at in your mind when you wrote some of the stuff?
To me, writing is ceremony. And one of the things that my grandmother told me is that when you sit down and you're going to do something important, you light a candle before I write, and I pray to the grandmothers to help me. So it's they're the ones that are there that help me. So that's where I'm with my.
Perhaps there are other questions or comments?
I really appreciate you letting us read your writings. To all of us, we all had our different points of view. And thanks to Mr. Cornett.
I've graduated, I'm Cornett.
It did make us think totally different from the basic education we all had, right? And this brought out our true feelings from our hearts. And the one poem that touched me the greatest was one about the feathers. Because it brought me to a time where I'd like to forget. And I did forget. But I was so overwhelmed with my inner feelings, it made me cry. And I appreciate the story. I'm sure we all do. I'd like to shake your hand for that.
Others?
Being in this open dialogue and make you look at your own poems in a different way. After hearing how we all interpret the poems.
It did. It made me really happy that I wrote it, that I listened, you know, and when I write, I try. My intended audience is our own people, and I have a vision of us uniting, you know, because we're so divided. But us getting together and because we have so much love. And then to know that this is my first time ever doing anything like this. Because usually I'm just on that, you know, circuit. Like I'm reading the next few days at different places. And the audience is mostly non-native. So, but to tell you the truth, I don't really care how they feel or what they think about it. What matters to me is what we think about it, what we read it, what we get from it. So, yes, it made me really happy that it made me happy that I listened to my auntie and I kept on.
The last poem, which was really, heavy in our hearts, it was tough to read. Like, to go back in your mind, think of the atrocities that our ancestors went through. And when you're really mad, maybe mad, but as we did this stream of consciousness, it brought me from there to where I am and everything in between, and how our people are just still, trying to heal, and my own personal journey of healing. But my own personal journey of healing is just like everybody else's, and it's how we still have a long way to go. But also, when you mentioned the Milky Way in the universe, it's like, well, we're still like this, and there's a whole universe out there, and it kind of put that into perspective. Like, it's not that big that we can't overcome it. So, I appreciate that.
I got one more, but it's addressed to Mr. South by Southwest here. What you had us doing all week,
I was wondering if you could do that, but not with the readings or writings, but you being in the Change It Up program for this whole week. I want to see your stream of consciousness. Your title.
Well, I can tell you, when this almost didn't happen because of the weather, I pulled an all-nighter, because to me, life is about keeping promises. I said, we got to keep our promise to them, no matter what. And so it meant changing a lot of schedules and logistics. Our youngest daughter contacted me. And you, Ms. Northwest, you threw me a curveball, eh? You remember what you asked me? Remember she said, what if you lived in a native-dominated world? And that really got me thinking.
2035.
Sooner.
You're still alive.
And I responded to her, if I could learn to learn from you, I'd survive. And my experience has been how much I've learned from you. In a nutshell.
I was just going to say
Or
that.
So we'd like to get a group photo, but first could you please go on the computer and write what you think about Oak Hollow.
Just one more little thing is that in what you were saying there, you know, just reminded me of my friend. He told me that he saw this movie a couple of weeks ago, and he said, you know, I've seen so many movies about the Jewish Holocaust, but this one, he said, for some reason, it just really stuck with him. He told me. And he didn't really say much about it, he was just having something feelings. Then I told my bestest buddy about it, and she's like, oh, I saw that movie, she says, and you know what she said? One thing, and she's native, she says the one thing about that movie that really stuck in my mind, and I really remember what she said. The movie was about this woman who saved all these names of people who were killed in the concentration camps. And she had this book full of names. And then many years later, she met up with a man who told her to collect those names and to remember. He told her to remember. So she collected all these names. But then she met with him years and years later, and her husband, the woman whose husband said that he lived a really hard life because all she did was collect the names and interfered with their life, their happiness, their joy in life. And that man told her, he was crying, and he said, I'm so sorry, because what I forgot to tell you was not just to remember, but to live. No matter what happens to us, no matter what has happened to us, we all know the things that is to live our lives in the because it's such a enjoyment.
Well, on behalf of Change It Up and each of the seminar members, many thanks for Sharon Proulx-Turner. And if you could go on the computer to the link and write what you think about what we did this afternoon. And we'd like to get a group photo before you leave. About what we just did.
Sitting in the back? Yes, thank you.
Mr. Roshan, do you have the forms and all?
Cheryl's with you?
Huh?
Thank you.
No, they're gonna do that,
first?
and then we're taking a picture.
Okay, so where do you want to set up for a picture?
It does, yeah. It's all in green, I didn't notice that.
Folks, I'm handing out the form.
What is
If
it?
you'd like, if you could just sign this, then they can present this at the university. And that's great publicity.
That stuff. Where would you like to do the picture? Is that okay? What with the books in behind? Sure. Yeah? Yeah? Okay, well, we'll move everything off the way so that.
This is just about what you're gonna, about today's, that's. Okay, who else didn't get it?
It does match, eh?
Okay, everybody get it? Okay, and this picture?
For Augustana. I have to sign it.
Oh, is Augustana?
Augustana, yeah, it's for Augustana.
Oh. Oh, disclosure.
Jeff. There you go. And go. Did you get it, Miss Twins? Oh, you did get it. Okay, and I gave you a copy, Mr. Potts. No, the other lady. Was wearing the jacket. Okay. Yeah, Miss Proulx-Turner, yeah, right.
But also.
Oh, okay, okay, her friend, okay. So now, this is, we're hoping to present this to the university.
Okay, I don't want to be in the trip.
Okay.
Thanks, though.
About what we thought of this whole, part of the,
Part that I videotaped, it could be a couple.
yeah, we was on that.
Like you're part of the circle.
Oh, okay, so I do need to sign this. Okay, I will sign.
The university has actually invited Miss Proulx-Turner before,
Oh, okay.
and they like her work.
Oh, nice, okay.
I figured there's,
See, this is yours, Miss Proulx-Turner.
What does this mean?
8, 9.
You go, you get the. Oh, it's taking.
I went on time out for a while.
Yes. I think that's about your email. So if you'll please write on the link how you experienced what we just did. To go back to the Miss Cryer, Mr. Sandba's having a difficulty getting on the computer.
Is it the 24th or 25th?
25th. Today's the 25th. And we can give them to Rajin. Did you
Anyone have any?
have time to fill yours out? If you could give them to Mr. To give them to Rajin, please.
That way.
Okay, so what do I sign in or what do I?
On the bottom.
And I kind of looked into it back on my just because I'm like really interested to get feedback and stuff.
Okay. Thank you very much, Ms. Hill. Yeah, you can show it, he'll know if it's correct.
Okay? Awesome.
Was that for the group photo?
Yeah.
Good idea. When I read your poetry, I said, we gotta make this happen. It didn't happen in the University of Calgary. I said, I'm gonna find a way. It's gotta happen.
This is even better.
It's very special.
What am I?
It's nice. There's a depth here, experience.
Who do I check on?
Rajin,
I just said,
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I want to advertise the meeting. Yeah, sure.
Yes, I do. I believe they're in my other folder back in Canada.
That one?
Yes, and I read them.
Okay. That's it? Or it may not.
Okay.
Yes or nay, so you can decide if you want to leave.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'll make sure.
Yeah, I just want to buy a book.
Yeah, that's right.
You might
Not
want
one here.
a tops.
Okay.
Yeah, take a good photo, that's it.
To do testing, so they're just happening to show up
Okay,
here
okay.
today. I thought we would
Yeah,
really, I thought we had everything ready for this conversation.
yeah, this is, that was to prepare, and this is to.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
We're concluding everything.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So this, and this.
Yeah, that'll give us enough room, Cheryl. Got you in there, Susan. You're set.
I should have posed.
So, maybe it'd be good to get the group. Okay. Okay, forgot. So much stuff.
Okay.
And Russia's having this.
Right here is perfect, like this distance, yeah. So what I'll do it on it is I'm gonna see if I can get Kevin to actually take that picture.
Where is he?
He just went over there.
Oh, he's gonna do the computer?
Yeah, after this, he's gonna scan.
Okay.
Would it?
I forgot about that.
Oh, I see. Okay, so make sure that's also.
So good, it'll work out.
Are you gonna be in the picture as well? Okay. Yep. So that'll be right there. Just gotta turn it on and then
Is this,
basically all you do
good
is just hold it.
Russian?
So you just gotta look through. I don't have that on because it wastes the battery.
Is that good, Russian? Yeah. You got everything you need? Oh, okay. Add my email. I heard you talking about emails. So. I think you have it in here, so just in case.
That's a far ways to go. Go wait. As long as it doesn't move when I don't like movement either.
I didn't even shut this off, Leah.